just gonna speedrun this in 15 minutes or less.
I'm gonna mute and def and let me know when you're done.
Yeah. Welcome, people. Finally a patch. Looking good for the small amount I glanced. I haven't gone far. Appreciate you guys for sticking with me. For those of you who are already watching, let's get into the patch. 7.37D. Arcane Boots. The recipe cost was increased by 100. Total cost was in the recipe specifically, so the total cost went up by 100. The mana regen bonus was decreased from 0.5 to 0.25, which is halving it, and the replenish mana restored was decreased from 175 to 150. So basically a big nerf to mana boots. They're 100 more expensive. They give you less mana just as a natural aura, and they give less mana when they're used. Really big nerf to mana boots. It's funny because I'm always telling people to get mana boots, and now it's going to be harder to negotiate that because now it's like, well, they're not going to be that good anyway. So that's really painful. Bracer, Null, and Wraithband got the same change. They no longer double their bonuses at 25, making these items much less desirable to have in your inventory because they just are what they are. That does not mean they're bad. That does not mean they're without use. But stacking them is sad because you're only getting half the value back. Of the fact that they cost 505, you only get back half of that. And now if you have multiple, you're only getting back half of each, and they're not going to have that much value for that long. Stacking of these is looking much worse, or a much bigger sink of money. Crimson Guard got nerfed for its active by 1 second. That's definitely needed. It's way too good. It's always way too good, so needed. Disperser, the suppress, which is the active, it no longer makes you unslowable, which is what it did before. It still gives you movement speed, right? It's still going to give you I forget what it actually does. So, bonus movement speed. I don't know what the bonus movement speed is, though. 100%. So now it doesn't make you unslowable, though. You can be slowed. It gives you slow resistance. Very big nerf, because now slows will affect people with Disperser almost as much. Very big nerf to Disperser. Needed. Oh, Gleipnir. Recipe cost was increased by 300. That's a big one. Damage bonus was decreased by 5. Attack speed bonus decreased by 5. Health bonus decreased by 25. Chain lightning damage, which is the, like, when it procs, decreased by 20. This might not be the final nail in the coffin that makes this less bought. It's still useful. It still does something. But it's just that much sadder to buy. A lot of heroes might move to MJ instead. And I think that's needed. It shouldn't be this all-encompassing. It's okay to give a little damage. It's okay to give a little attack speed. It's okay to be an item that does a lot. But it already did less Chain Lightning before than MJ. Now it does even less than that. So now it's just definitely looking much worse for its total effectiveness. Guardians went up by... Because Arcane Boots went up, they went by 100. Obviously nerfs Guardians as well. Pavise, the barrier went down by 50. The duration went down by 1. And it costs 25 more mana to do it. That's needed, I think. Pavise isn't an item I usually get. I got it last game, which is funny for those of you who were watching my video before. But I don't usually buy Pavise, but I do think it's strong in certain contexts. And so I think, slight nerf is needed. Pipe's barrier went down by 2, which obviously makes Eternal Shroud better comparatively, because they're not going to nerf it, because I can see this is the end. The Ring of Basilius also got its mana regen reduced, which is why it got reduced on Arcanes. Though, granted, does this have an aura? No, that's the weirder part. No, it does. So the passive mana regen aura that's on Guardians actually didn't get nerfed. So if you do go the Guardian route, there's no nerf to the mana regen. Or the burst mana, because now it's the same on Guardians, so it's a bigger reason to upgrade. Solar Crest, health bonus decreased by 25, that's to the holder. Shine duration, which is the active, got decreased by 1, it's the same thing with Pavise. The physical damage barrier got decreased by 50, same nerf as Pavise. And the bonus attack speed got nerfed by 10. I really just don't want to buy these items anymore. Spirit Vessel. The soul release health restoration reduction on enemies was increased. Ooh! Oh, yes. Let's go. Oh, yeah, man. Bigger, use for Spirit Vessel. So the debuff that reduces how much health regen you can have used to be 50. Made you much less effective if you were like Bristle trying to use Bloodstone. Now it's 60, even better. And it always gains a charge when you die. That's really nice. I love the nerfs to the Bracer-esque starting items. I think Arcane Boots might have needed a small nerf, especially since it was the same as Guardians. Gleipnir needed a nerf. Disperser needed a nerf. Crimson and Pipe probably needed a nerf. Solar probably needed a nerf. So I love it all. And Spirit Vessel got a buff. I love all of this. This is all good. Seeds of Serenity. It's active. The duration was decreased by a whole whopping 6 seconds. And 6 seconds of 10 health regen is 60 less health it's going to give you. Big nerf. Big nerf. Anti-Mage. Mageben's Mirror got buffed again because it needs it. It's not very good. The Reflected Spell Amp increased by 10% on both, just making it more valuable. In exchange, they took away... oh my god, they took away his extra magic resistance and replaced it with health regen at 10. I used to go the counterspell. I'll go health regen too. I think the health regen is worse though. Nerf for sure. Batrider. They changed his Firefly duration with more smoldering resin. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I don't know. Primal Roar. Sorry, and Furry, I know you're not listening, but his stun for Primal Roar went up by 0.25 at all levels. Big sad. We just got dicked on by a Primal. So, you know. It was big sad. We won the game, though, yeah? Yeah. Drums of Salaam, the heal from heroes was decreased by 5, which nerfs his ability to stay in the game with, you know, in general. And they buffed his talent for magic resistance. Yep, definitely a buff because the stun is the most important part of his kit. Blood Rage is now free. That sucks. I don't like that. Juggernaut, bonus damage was rescaled to be better early, worse late, but basically better at all levels, essentially. Sacrificing Creeps Martyrdom, which is the Ag Scepter, now triggers on death effects, which means that any creep that gives a buff when it dies, which there are some of them, will now give that buff. They didn't do it before. That should be the case. That was like a miss. They just should have. Clockwork, his expanded armature, which enemies heroes caught are no longer pulled to the center. Now they're placed inside as far away from the center as possible while not touching a cog. So expanded armature makes a bigger radius, and now it just changed where they're put, which makes it easier to then stun them afterwards. Crystal Maiden got an agility gain increase, which is weird because she's always had low agility, so that's kind of nice. And they buffed her 15 talent by 0.5. I mean, we'll see if that matters. She'll end up with more armor, and she'll be a little bit better at pushing, I guess. Cheaper Celestial Hammer, and it moves a little faster. It's minor. The moving faster is kind of cool. Just some talent buffs for Dazzle. I don't care. Death Prophet base damage increase of 2 helps farm. And the spirit count of Exorcism early went up, making level 1 Exorcism bigger. This is a big buff. Big buff. I'm trying to do this really fast, by the way. Doom Gluttony, which is one of his talents that gives him 2 Devour charges. The base charge restore time was decreased from 90 to 85, which means that it's up more often as well for Gluttony. Level Pain, which allows him to do extra damage to heroes whose level is lower than Doom, now only applies to Doom's attacks. I guess he was dealing bonus damage on like Doom as well and other things. It's now only his attacks. Huge nerf. Unbelievable nerf. Shouldn't have been that way anyway. It should have just been his attacks, but still. Fire Dragon's cleave distance went down by 50. That's a nerf to Fire Dragon because it's the only way people are playing Dragonite now. Base agility on Drow increased by 2. That doesn't also affect her other abilities that are based off of agility. Her aura and stuff, so that's really nice for her and really sad because I hate facing Drow. Nature's Attendants. What is the damage threshold? I don't even... Overprotective Wisps. Whenever she takes more than 275 damage, Wisps appear. So basically, she has to take more damage before the Wisps appear, which makes her not as tanky. Nice. Enchant. The hero move slow duration was rescaled, so it's low early, then has to scale back. And Sproink has a longer cooldown. So nerf overall to Enchantress. Grim. The DPS on Inkswell went up at all levels by 5. and a small talent buff. Gyrocopter got a base damage increase of 2. He needs it. I don't never see people play Gyro. Boomerang is a higher cast range. Okay, who cares? This facet, Light Break also heals friendly units in a radius. So when he jumps, it heals people. The heal radius was increased by 150, making it more likely to heal people, which is nice. I've never even really seen people play Huskar. Invoker, Ghost Walk. The health regen was decreased at all levels. A lot, actually. A lot. And the mana regen on it was also decreased by not nearly as much. So basically, Ghost Walk just got a big nerf in general for having those abilities, which is needed. 100% needed. Duelist got a 2% buff. That's actually nice and makes Jug a lot more desirable to play because 2% for anybody facing him is nice, right? 2% damage. Also affects his ults and stuff. And the mana cost for Healing Ward now is a static as low as it was at 3, which is nice. For Admiral's Rum, which is an ability, right? It's a passive. When he gets below a threshold, he douses himself with rum. The duration was decreased by 4. It doesn't affect his ult. Ghost Ship, the damage was decreased by, early and then it scales up. The cooldown was nerfed as well by 10 seconds at all levels. So, Kunkka nerfs, good. Lich, the damage reduction was increased by a lot early. So now it scales up to the same number, but it's really good early. Feast, the max health lifesteal was increased at all levels. The max health damage was also increased at all levels. So he heals more and he deals more damage. Bare Necessities is a facet. I don't remember what it does, but I have to check. Sorry. Lone Druid's items are more powerful and his inventory is smaller. Okay. How small? 3? Yeah. Okay. Got it. So, stat bonus no longer applies to items in the neutral slot, so he won't get a bonus to that. Stat bonus was decreased from 50 to 80% to 30 to 75%, so it got nerfed at all levels. So good. It just nerfed this talent. I hate him anyway. Moonstorm, Lucent Beam no longer grants bonus damage when hitting illusions. Damage buff per beam was decreased at 1 at all levels, so it's just less damage for Luna. Good. Beam damage in general for Lucent Beam was decreased 5, 10, 15, 20, which is also, these are big nerfs for Luna. Marcy, Sidekick, which is the better one for Core Marcy. Bonus base attack damage was decreased 2, 3, 4, 5%, and ally bonus radius was decreased dramatically, so that doesn't give the bonus to somebody from as far away. Big nerf. Mars, small talent. Absorbing damage with mana shield now disables blink. Well, that's a huge nerf to a Medusa that would build blink. I've never done that, but still. Solar Flare, let's see it. No longer increases daytime vision, so it's not as easy for her to see everybody. Max attack speed and damage was decreased by 10 at all levels. The duration was nerfed by 2. Needed. Leap, Aghanim Shard no longer allows to hit the same enemy unit by multiple secondary star storms in a single cast, which just means you just can't, super burst somebody really quickly. Monkey King got 1 strength. It takes longer for Wukong's Faithful, which is, they last longer and do not disperse unless he spends more than 4 seconds. The disperse time used to be 3 seconds when it would disperse. Now it's 4. And Simeon's Stride, which is Tree Dance, has no cooldown. When he's high at health, it used to be 90, now it has to be 95. So, he has to be really high at health to get this. Nerf. Buff, nerf. Pierce the Veil lasts at its maximum always. Big buff to early game Huerta. I don't even know anything about Deluge, so I'm just going to move on. The Song of the Siren max HP regen per second was decreased late. Doesn't heal as much. Ironwood Treant, let's see. The damage was decreased by 6. What's the max? It's still the same late. It just got an early game nerf. Treant movement speed was also decreased so that it's it has to scale up, so it's slower early. Whatever. It's worse than Lane. Necro, movement slow on Ghost Shroud was increased early. Reaper Scythe got a 10-second cooldown buff. Necropho's looking better. Base movement speed on Omni went down by 5. Base strength went down by 1. Healing Hammer, damages healing was decreased by 5, so less healing. Increased mana cost increased mana cost. So nerfs, but minor nerfs. I think he's still playable, just nerfs. Rolling Thunder on Thunderbolt increased by 1 second, just the duration, so he can be an ult longer. Okay. His passive on PL, the effects that percentually change the base damage now also affect base damage bonus provided by illusory armorants. I don't know what that means. Bonus to base damage for illusions increased by 5%. I know that is a buff to illusions. Okay. It's a buff. It looks like buffs. Puckish. Base health restored decreased from 20 to 15. Base mana change from the base mana changed from 20 to 15. He still gets the percentage, but it's just they get less of this. Dream Coil also has to scale up to 6 seconds, so it's a nerf as well. Pugna, Siphoning Ward, damage to mana was increased 30 to 40. So he doesn't get as... okay, so he gets more mana now. Okay. Toggling items no longer breaks invisibility, so toggling like treads or something would not break invisibility. Buff to Ricky. Alright, Ringmaster. Lost 2 strength. Lost 0.3 strength gained. Cast range on Tame the Beast now has to... never scales up. It's always its minimum. Escape Act can now be dispelled by people casting something on it if they had an AoE dispel of sorts, or that would be Nullifier before it. Nullifier, Escape Act, it would turn it off. Wheel of Wonder radius was decreased by 100, making it less likely to hit you. The automatic explosion time was decreased from 6 to 4, so it will automatically explode much earlier, making it just not as long. Big nerfs. Big nerfs. Dust Devil's radius was decreased by 100 at all levels. The duration went down as well. 4 all the way down to 7. So 4, 5, 6, 7. Also, that's a big nerf for Sand King. Promulgate, I don't even know what this does. If targets an enemy, they lose a percentage of their health or gain half of it. Health loss was decreased, so it doesn't take as much health away. Shadow Poison gives less vision. Ooh, nice. Foul Play, which is his passive, gives a 0.25 seconds more of invulnerability to make it actually more helpful. Nice. Full Bore cast range was decreased by 100. That's the longer, narrower Scatter Blast, so it doesn't go as long. Nice. Sniper, the Scatter Shot damage was decreased. I love this. By 30 at the early level. Ooh, it's just that early. That's so good. I love that. Fuck that. Headshot slow duration has to scale up now, too, with Headshot, which is also good. Base charge restore time on Techie's Mines is now statically always its best. I'm okay with that. The damage threshold for the Dispel of Blubber is now 450, so it happens more often that he gets rid of debuffs. That's a buff. And the damage on Ravage went up by 25 at all levels. Timbersaw lost 1 strength. That's minor. The movement speed on Nature's Guise went down by 2. So he's slower. The damage and heal was also decreased on Leech Seed by 5 at all levels. And now heal creeps for 50% effectiveness, which is going to hurt his push game. Troll. Buff to a talent. Buff to another talent. Cool. Ooh, Tusk. Tag Team. Bonus damage was increased on this, making it nicer to go like a core Tusk, because now I get a little bit more damage. Drinking Buddies movement bonus was decreased, so it has to scale up. All cast behavior now has 50% of the base spell's cast range. So if you just want to move yourself, it doesn't have as much cast range. Big nerf to Drinking Buddies, big buff to Tag Team. Almost done. We're going to do this in 20 minutes or less. Underlord. Abyssal Horde was one of his facets. Warrior damage was rescaled to be better early, worse late. The Last Will, which is when you kill one of the warriors, it hurts you. Decreased by 100 at all levels, so it's easier to kill them. Atrophy Aura's duration, which is when how long you get the damage from things dying, was decreased by 5 at all levels, so it's less likely he keeps it. Nether Swap's cooldown got it's a little bit better early. Noxious Plague's minimum movement slow was increased from 0 to 15, so it didn't. I think what it means is that if so the plague slows the target and nearby enemies based on their distance to the target. The first person that's slowed, basically. And I think before, the minimum movement slow means it wouldn't slow you at all if you're right next to them. Now it always slows you a little. Death toll, you get gold per charge. Kills with Soul Assumption give extra gold. Now it no longer gives gold if they die before the Soul Assumption hits them. So it's a nerf. It's just a weird thing. You can no longer recall if the familiars are in stone form. Big nerf. Here we go. Whirlwind. Cooldown increased at later levels dramatically. Wind Ranger can no longer shoot arrows while channeling. So if you're channeling, you don't shoot any arrows. Damage reduction was increased by 5%, so it does less damage. Duration was decreased by 1 second. Comparatively, now Whirlwind isn't looking as good, but it might still be playable. The Invis is dispelled if the base Wind Run, which is just the movement speed, is dispelled. Small buff to Winter Wyvern. So, I'll give a 1 minute thoughts. Love all the item changes. I think they needed nerfs in a lot of items. All of them are good. I love them all. Just seeing these items less will make me happy. The only big heroes I saw was a Beastmaster buff on Primal is going to be dramatic. Clockwork, I don't know how Expanded Armature will work, but it might be very interesting. Death Prophet early push is going to be real. Doom nerf is way too big, I think. Enchantress nerf you'll probably see if you play against her. Jug is going to be one of my more played heroes now. Lifestealer is going to be coming back into the meta, methinks. Luna is going to be falling out just so she isn't broken. She'll be fair again. Morana won't be overwhelmingly strong. Omni Knight won't be overwhelmingly strong. Ringmaster won't be overwhelmingly strong. And Sniper won't be nearly as annoying, so he's kind of useless as a support now, and they're still going to do it, and it's going to be just as bad as before. And Windrunner is experiencing, Windranger is experiencing some stuff. So it is what it is. I respect it, though. For those of you on YouTube, appreciate you guys watching. See you next time. Those of you on Twitch, I'll be right back with a separate video just playing.